This is Brooks Gibbs. As a kid, he was a total wimp. When bullies called him names, he would either break out into tears or an asthma attack. Seriously, he was so weak, he would get an asthma attack playing Nintendo.
My mom would come in, "You're playing Mario Kart? You're gonna die!"
Today, he's listed among the top youth speakers in America. He is the author of Love is Greater Than Hate, which was praised by Amazon.com as one of the top 10 books to help teens. As a bully expert, he teaches students, parents, and teachers the fun and easy way to stop being bullied.
So bullying is an opportunity for parents to build resiliency in their children.
You don't hear that.
No,
You're
that's
saying
a really
take that as an
interesting way of
opportunity.
looking at it.
It's totally an opportunity.
I know, it
Wow.
is. It really is a brand new strategy against bullying.
It's actually ancient. Jesus taught it. You know,
I love that.
I'm just bringing it back.
He has hosted national radio and television shows and is currently producing a documentary series on Lifetime called Teen Trouble. Over 1 million people around the world have experienced him speak live. And now, it's your turn. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brooks Gibbs.
Man, coming to your high school was so freaky for me because I remember my first day of high school. I was a brand new ninth grader, a little freshman, a little frosh, a little fishy. And I walked through the double doors of this giant high school and my heart was palpitating. I was starting to get an anxiety attack. Everything was so big. The kids were so loud. There were 2 levels of hallways. Kids were saying, "Yay for science! Oh my God, I'm so jealous!" And I'm like, "Oh, they're crazy. The girls are crazy." And the guy, the teacher's like, "Get to class, all right?" And I was like, "Oh my God, they're mean." Everyone was so loud and so big. I was just this little freshman looking up at this big old school, and out of the corner of my eye was a huge senior, big old 12th grader, football player type guy, 6'4", 280 something, massive beast, hairy man. I mean, he was seriously hairy, actually, like Chewbacca. And Sasquatch was walking right behind me. I could feel the floor kind of rumble. And I didn't want to look at his eyes. And for no reason at all, he took his big old fist and he punched me in the back of my shoulder. Like that. It hurt so bad, caught me off guard. I yelled something random like, "The British are coming!" I don't even know what that means, actually. And I fell down to the ground in absolute pain, and I looked up and he was towering over me. He said, "Nobody stands on the buffalo." I was like, "What?" He said, "I said, nobody stands on the buffalo. Get off." I was so scared. And sure enough, I looked down, and at this point, I was laying on a mosaic tile picture of a buffalo grazing on the prairie. Apparently, this was a seal embedded in our school floor that was our sacred mascot, Buffy, and I just desecrated her. I was a stupid freshman. There was no rope around this saying, "Stay away from Buffy." There was nothing like that. I had no clue. And sure enough, I did what any freshman would try to do. I tried to run away as fast as I could, so I just took off. But with his go-go gadget arms, he grabbed me by the collar and dragged me back, and he said, "Oh no, you're gonna clean her." Sure enough, totally true story. He pulls out a toothbrush, he hawks a loogie, spits on the floor, he shoves me down to my knees, and I start scrubbing Buffy. Actually, his spit landed on her lips, so it was like I was brushing her teeth. Actually, I was so humiliated. You ever been humiliated in front of somebody else? How about a group of people? I was so angry. I had this physical manifestation of rage come in. Everyone was looking at me and laughing at me. I wanted to I thought to myself, man, I wish I would have stuck with karate when I started it in 7th grade, because I'd be so ninja by now. I would windmill kick him in the navel, I had this video game character that could punch through people's chests and rip out the heart while it was still beating. I was so angry that this guy punked me in front of all these kids. Man, if I stuck with karate, I'd be so ninja fast, I could crawl up this tree of a man like a tree monkey. And I could unzip my backpack, pull out cardstock paper, and paper cut his eye 100 times. And watch all the juices bubble out of his eyeball. And watch his eyeball hang out of his socket like a wet balloon. Man, I was so angry. I was so angry that he had the nerve to punk me, a little freshman, on my first day. See, I had hoped entering high school, I would have like upperclassmen, junior and seniors in V formation welcoming every freshman saying, "Welcome to high school where all your dreams come true. We're so glad you're here." But it was the exact opposite of that. The dude was intimidating me. He was bullying me. You see, I thought bullying was just an elementary school problem, or it peaked in middle school. I thought high school was a little more mature than that, but boy, was I wrong. This dude was all about intimidating me, trying to make me crazy, trying to make me cry. And that's what bullying is, actually. It's people trying to make you crazy or trying to make you cry. And if you get crazy angry or you bust out in tears, they feel like winners and you look like a big loser. And I lived my entire life that way. People making me crazy, making me angry, making me cry. When I was in elementary school, I was like a bully magnet, made fun of all the time. I was skinny, scrawny. They called me a little skinny white boy with chicken legs. That's what they called me. And I was like, shut up! I mean, they made fun of me. I was allergic to everything. I couldn't eat hardly anything. If I ate like guacamole, my lips would blow up like a blowfish. I couldn't have, nuts or fruit or anything like that. I had to have a strict diet. I was an absolute wimp. Super insecure. And I was super short and highly asthmatic. It's true, I would get asthma attacks playing Nintendo. That is totally true. That's how unhealthy I was. I'd be like, go Mario, go! Oh my God! Oh my God! My mom would come in and see me play Mario Kart. She says, you're playing Mario Kart? You're gonna die! Play Zelda! Okay? It's time for your breathing treatment now. I felt like such a loser. Kids would make fun of me saying, you're a little shrimp, you're a little short, you're a little girl. And I'd be like, I will slice you. See, the more they made fun of me, the more I would react as a crazy person, and sometimes I would cry, and that's exactly what they wanted. I'll never forget, man. It hurt so bad, the words and the rejection that I would have. I used to like fantasize that I was a cop and I could arrest anyone who was mean to me. In elementary school, I actually brought handcuffs to school one day because if anyone talked crap to me, I would arrest them. I actually got in trouble because one day I was tackling this one dude trying to put his wrist into one of my handcuffs, and the teacher said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Bully in jail." She's like, "Brooks, you cannot put bullies in jail." I was like, "Shut your mouth." She's like, "Brooks, get over here." She made me unlock the handcuffs. She dragged me to the office. She says, "Is that going to make your bully like you or hate you?" And I said, "Hate me." And she says, "Is that going to make him want to be your friend or your enemy?" "My enemy." She says, "You don't want that to happen?" I was like, "Bully in jail." She's like, "Brooks, you can't do that." She took my handcuffs and I said, "Forget you!" So the next day, I brought Chinese handcuffs to school. You know what Chinese handcuffs are? They're like a little tube. You put your little fingers through them. They're made out of basket material. And when you pull on them, they kind of clamp down on your fingers. I doubt they use this in China to detain their prisoners. But I brought Chinese handcuffs to school, and some girl rejected me that morning, and I tried to shove her pointy little fingernail into this like tube of basket woven crazy Chinese style. And the teacher said, "Brooks, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Bully in jail." Got in trouble again. I was like, "Forget you!" Totally true. The next day, I brought a fork to school. Yeah, I kept it right here in my little back pocket. And if anyone was mean to me, I would whip out the fork! Not to stab people, okay? I don't like violence, and I'm very uncoordinated. I try to stab them, I would stab my knee. I can't even stab a Capri Sun, okay? That juice box is impossible. But if anyone treated me terribly, I would whip out the fork! I would hold it up to my eye. I would look through the bars of the fork at my bully, and I would say, "Bully in jail. Bully in jail. I just arrested you in my imagination. They're like, you're so freaking weird. You see, the more they made fun of me, the crazier I would become. And many times I'd be so crazy I would break out in tears. And they loved it. Actually, that was the payoff for most bullies. Just to see me crazy, just to see me psycho, to see me fight back, to get angry. They wanted to get a reaction from me, and they always got it because I lived according to what sociologists call the law of reciprocity. The law of reciprocity states however people treat you, you will naturally treat them back. And so if they're nice to you, you're going to be nice back. But if they're mean to you, you're going to be mean back. That's no way to live. But that's our natural way of living. When people treat us like crap, we want to fight them. We want to yell at them. We want to talk smack back. That's no way to live. You know why? Because that means everyone else is in control of your attitude. Everyone else is in control of your attitude. If they treat you nicely, you're going to have a nice day. But if they treat you terribly, you're going to have a terrible day. Listen, there's no way to live that way. That's not the way that you want to live, and that's the way I grew up. And I became a crazy person and really, really emotional. I'll never forget, it got really bad towards the end of my 8th grade year. I figured if I had a girlfriend, then all the people would respect me. Especially if she was taller than everyone else, because she could beat up my bullies. So I asked my dad, who was a drunk, I said, hey, Dad, you're really good with the ladies. How do you pick up chicks? I'll never forget what he said. He said, when you see a hot chick, you just say, hubba, hubba. Like, that's all the advice I got. So I went to school. I found the tallest, strongest chick I could find. She was gorgeous. And I said, hubba, 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 hubba. I didn't know when to stop. Hubba, hubba, hubba. She's like, oh my God, you're creeping me out. Shut up. I was like, what's so wrong with me? She said, everything. I'm like, you were so mean. She said, you're so skinny. You're like two-dimensional paper thin. If you turn sideways, we lose you. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? We don't know where you went. I was like, you have no right to treat me that way. She says, you probably have to run around in the shower just to get wet, don't you, skinny boy? I'm like, what does that even mean? I don't understand. You know, after being rejected by her, it went to a whole new level of woundedness inside. I remember trying to go to sleep sometimes at night. And you know, like that in-between space, like when you're kind of awake but you're kind of asleep, that transition spot. I remember being kind of trapped right there as I was trying to sleep. And in my head would be all these rejection, all of the people that, what they would say to me that were so cruel and so mean. I think about my father's rejection. At home, I was at a war zone. At school, I was at a war zone. I had like no safe place. And the voices just became such a big burden on my shoulder, so overwhelming to me. I had such depressing thoughts. During those terrible years of 7th, 8th grade, I remember running to drugs and alcohol. I'd smoke weed just to escape emotional pain. I would drink as much as I could because my dad always had beer in the house. And that would kind of take my mind off my emotional pain. The worst it got was when I would take a razor blade. I still have the scars to this day. And I would cut deep into my skin and I would watch the blood kind of bubble up on the surface. I would take my cigarette and I would burn myself in my arm, cut myself in the side. I would draw things in my legs. I was a self-injurer victim, really. I was a cutter. And I didn't think that there was any hope. And because drugs and alcohol didn't take away the pain, and because cutting only temporarily solved my sorrow, when it would happen again and again and again, I was rejected at home, I was rejected at school, I wanted to end my life. You know, they have a new word they call bullycide. It means suicide as a result of being bullied. Psychologists say kids are being bullied to death. And I remember having suicidal thoughts. You know, the thing about suicide, which is the number 3 cause of death among young people, the number 1 reason why kids commit suicide is because they lack coping skills. They don't know how else to solve their social problems. They don't know how else to purge the emotional pain that's inside of them. And so they figure it's better off if they're dead. Maybe kids kill themselves to get back at those that have wounded them so badly. Maybe they kill themselves just to not hurt anymore. But if that's you and you feel depressed or you feel suicidal or you're a cutter, and I meet cutters and those who have suicidal tendencies all over the nation when I speak, around the world, this is a youth epidemic globally. If that's you and you identify with that, let me tell you something. Suicide is not the decision. Cutting is not the decision that you need to be making. Suicide is a permanent decision that you're making for a very temporary problem. And this problem is not forever. And the rejection from others is not forever. Things will get better. You can make it. And when you make it through the difficulty of adolescence, you will come out stronger because it didn't kill you. You can be resilient. And you know, I've dedicated my life to help victims of bullying overcome the tremendous obstacle of emotional pain. And I'm going to teach you today exactly how to deal with those who are seemingly difficult and who reject you on a regular basis. I'm going to teach you how to be resilient in the face of adversity so you don't give a flying flip what people think about you, say about you, or how they treat you. You're going to live the way you want to live, whether they like it or not. Does that sound good? Literally, I remember the worst of God. My mother finally came to me and she said, Brooks, I'm concerned. She says, Brooks, this is my mother talking. She says, your grades are failing. You're hanging out with terrible people. You seem depressed and moping all the time. The music you're listening is keeping you in perpetual sorrow. Your life just seems miserable, son. I don't know what to do. I said, Mom, I am miserable. People hate me, and I hate that. She says, son, you are always going to have enemies, and not everyone's going to want to be friends with you. I said, how dare you? That hurts. You need to be more positive. You're my mother. She says, Brooks, okay, I'll be more positive. I'm sorry. I'm positive you will always have enemies and not everyone's going to want to be friends with you. He says, Brooks, people are mean. People won't believe what you believe in. They won't share your same faith. They won't like you because of the color of your skin or because of the way you talk. They won't like you because of your political affiliation. We live in the united hate of America. We are more polarized than ever before in the history of this nation. More people hate the other side than ever before. Democrats hate Republicans and vice versa. And you know what? People don't want to change. The only thing we seem to have in common in this country is our hatred that we have towards each other. That's what we share. She says, Brooks, you got to be resilient. You want to be a leader someday? I'm like, yes. She said, do you want to be like popular someday? I'm like, yes. Do you want to be the leader of something or a president of something? Or do you want to be an owner or manager of others? I'm like, yes. She says, well, the higher you get in popularity, the more money you make, the more authority you have, the more of a target you will be, and the more jealous people will be, the more people will despise you because of your role. She said something brilliant. My mother said, think of the President of the United States. He is in the place of highest authority in our nation, and he is the most made fun of man on the planet. People make their living assassinating his character and his reputation. There are millions of blogs, thousands of hours of radio and television that are fully designed to grow an army of haters against the president. And that's not just the current president, whoever holds that office. And if he allowed the negativity of others to get to him, he would not be able to do his job. Brooks, if you want to be a leader, you got to be resilient. You got to be stronger than your emotions and be smarter than the enemy. I'm like, Mom, that's easier for you to say. She says, sit down. I sat down. You don't argue with Mama. He said, I'm going to tell you a little story. I said, Mom, your stories are boring. They usually have like a unicorn that ends up in heaven at the end. I hate Mom's stories. She's like, shut your mouth. My mom says, shut your mouth. That's like cussing for her. So I sat down. I looked at her. She said, once upon a time, there was a pony. And this pony was trying to keep up with the tall, dark, and handsome, popular horses. But he couldn't keep up with them. He tried to run so fast, but he had asthma. And he couldn't see where he was going because he forgot his glasses. I'm like, Mom, is this pony me? She said, shut your mouth. And one day, these horsies were bullies. And they took their little shovels. And I thought, how did horsies have shovels? She said, shut your mouth. It's my story. Listen. The horsies took their little shovels and they started digging a hole in the earth. 8 foot deep. All the dirt they took out, and they covered the 8-foot pit with brush, hoping the pony wouldn't see and fall straight down to his demise. I'm like, this is the worst story in the history of stories. Shut your mouth. She said, this little pony, sure enough, was walking, didn't see the brush, fell through the pit. And the horses came out, and they took their little shovels, and the same dirt they took out of the pit, they started putting back in the pit on top of his back to bury him alive. I was actually starting to be interested in the story for once. I'm like, so what happened? She said, he thought he was going to give up. He thought life was too hard. He thought there was no way out. I'm like, Mom, I mean, couldn't he see like a little chipmunk hole in the corner and squeeze out and turn into a unicorn and go to heaven? She's like, shut your mouth. She said, these mean horsies that wanted nothing but evil started burying him alive, and the dirt was burdening his back so much he didn't think he could live. But then he thought to himself, I'm not going out this way. I'm going to be smarter than my emotions. I'm not going to throw in the towel. I can rise above this. And do you know what he did, son? I said, what? He said, he shook it off. And he stomped it down. I'm like, what? The little pony, the more dirt that came on his back, the more he shook it off. He stomped it down. Do you know how damaging it is to see your mother, who's very top-heavy, shake it off? Yeah. I still have nightmares, actually. It's terrible. She said, and he shook it off, and he stomped it down. And the more dirt they put on his back trying to bury him alive, he just shook it off, and he stomped it down, and he shook it off, and he stomped it down, and he shook it off, and he stomped it down. Mom! Oh my God! My eyes! That's totally inappropriate! And completely illegal! And she said, you know what happened to this donkey? He was able to shake it off and stomp it down. He kept rising higher and higher to the point that he was able to walk right out of that pit. And he gained the respect of those who were abusing him. But more importantly, he gained self-respect that he could overcome the worst obstacles. The worst obstacles. You know, that story was such a turning point in my life. I hope as you listen to that little silly story, you think of yourself. Don't let people bury you alive. There are haters, dude. There are haters everywhere. You post a blog or a YouTube video and you open up the comments, you're going to have haters. You put anybody together like a school environment, you're going to have rumors spread about other people. And I wish it wasn't that way. I wish we could have a culture of kindness. I wish we could have bully-free zones. And we should all move towards that direction. But for that to actually be accomplished, to create utopia or heaven on earth, it is a pipe dream. We can get way better, but still there will always be haters, because people who hurt other people are typically hurting. And there's a lot of hurting people. But I'm going to tell you 2 things to overcome all the worst of obstacles. 2 ways to rise above the hatred in your life. The first thing I want you to remember is to be calm. The second thing I want you to remember is to be kind. I want you to repeat after me. Everyone say, be calm. Be calm. Now say, be kind. Be kind. Be calm. Let's talk about that first. You don't have to get angry. People don't make you mad, and nobody pushes your buttons. You make yourself mad, you upset yourself, and you push your own buttons. The phrase, oh, they're just pushing my buttons, is a total lie. You study psychology, study anger management 101, and you're going to find out that it's true. No one can control how you feel. There is no such thing as a remote control with a big red anger button on it that's attached to your brain. that someone can just pick up and push this anger button, push, push, push. And it's attached to your brain and you're like, oh my God, I'm angry. Oh my God, someone's pushing my buttons. Who's doing that? Stop it! No one pushes your buttons. No one makes you angry. You process their hatred in such a way where you upset yourself. You anger yourself. The key to being calm is first realizing that don't let them upset you. Don't let their words or the rejection or the rumors hurt you. Don't let it. Because if you let it, then you lose and they win. But if you don't let it hurt you, if you don't let it make you cry or make you crazy, you win and they are losers. Grandma put it this way in a great old colloquialism. She said, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now, when some people hear that phrase, especially the common anti-bully experts, they say, Grandma was a liar. She didn't know what she was talking about. She was delusional. Haven't you read the statistics? Words kill. We have bully sides. Kids are killing themselves over words. No. Grandma wasn't delusional. She didn't think that words never hurt people. The cool thing about Grandma, she's old. She's been around a long time, and she's had a lot of life experiences. And I guarantee you, Grandma has been hurt by other people's words. But at some point in her life, she made a decision. Well, sticks and stones will definitely break my bones. There's nothing I can do about that. But words, oh yeah. Words only have power that I give them. Words will never hurt me because I'll never let them hurt me. Does that make sense, guys? Grandma wasn't trying to lie to us. She was trying to equip us with a coping skill to be calm in the face of adversity. I like to quote that old phrase this way. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words don't have to hurt me. It's not just Grandma that says this. Christina Aguilera, yeah. She says it too. You know that blonde, lumpy chick? She got so many curves. Here's a little song she wrote. I am beautiful.